Happy Monday, everyone. Good morning. This Monday, we are kickstarting the week. We are talking about neuroscience and manifesting, and I got the expert here with me this morning. So, you all are going to love this. As you can see, she is in some place we all want to be on her boat, living the dream. And I'm hoping in a conversation we get to talk about that a little bit too. So, if you're joining, give some love to each other. Welcome to the Wealthy Me podcast. I'm your host, Tasha, and every week we talk about conversations that help guide you into what I call your wealthy era, where wealth gets to be more joy, more ease, more fun, and yes, a lot more financial abundance. This morning, I have this amazing woman. I want to say my client, but we've become friends. I think of us as peers in this work, and I'm really excited for us to have this conversation. I'm hoping that Jackie will share a little bit about her story with you and how she came to be doing this work. And I want to officially say, why should you listen to her? She is what I would call, and I think her official title is a brain optimization specialist, an expert in the brain. And she has been doing this work. Well, she's been doing the science of this work for several years. And then over the last couple of years, decided to go all in supporting I don't think it's just women, but supporting others with really understanding the power of the brain and how to leverage and use it to create the life of your dreams. So if you've been stuck in any patterns, if you've been trying to understand why can't I just stop overthinking, stop doubting myself, stop procrastinating, this is a conversation for you. All right, so let's jump right in. Dr. Jackie Kilraine. One of the stories that I love the most, and I'm hoping that you'll share with them. Hello. So, by the way, we just want to share. I just want to share with you all that we have a little bit of a delay. Jackie is living her amazing life. She's on her boat, so you might notice a little bit of a delay between when I, prompt her to share and when she starts sharing. That's what's going on. So, just give her some grace this morning. But Jackie, one of the things that I love is the story about how you came to the point in your career where you decided you were a chiropractor and you were treating people for chronic pain and recognized that actually the best treatment was to look at what was happening in their brain. So would you tell a little bit about that story? Tell a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure, I will. Thank you, Tasha. And it's great to be here. I started a lot of my practice revolved, like you said, around chronic pain, fibromyalgia. And I was listening to a podcast late at night, and there was an anesthesiologist talking, and he said, we have to turn down the volume of the pain in the brain. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's what I've been missing. I was still thinking about that. I walked in my office the next day. I was just thumbing through a periodical, and there was an ad for neurofeedback. And the doctor that owned the company, I had taken a year-long course with him, and he's very thorough. So I called him up on the phone. I said, what is this I need? So I brought it into my practice, and I started doing it. Of course, I did it on me first because I always make sure everything's okay. So I did neurofeedback on myself. And at the time, I had no chronic pain, but I was literally having a nervous breakdown. I was so anxious. I was so depressed. It was the year anniversary after my husband had died. And I was going to pack up two of my kids, move out to California, leave my oldest son in college, and run away to where my brother lives. But my brother lives in a monastery. It made absolutely no sense. And I didn't have a California license. Thank God I did neurofeedback because it literally saved my life, changed everything about my life. And so I started doing it on my chronic pain patients. And I'm like, how is your fibromyalgia? How's your chronic pain? Oh, that's better. They said, but I'm going to ask my doctor if I can get off my antidepressant. I don't feel depressed anymore. I don't feel anxious anymore. And that's when I really started diving into the science of it, understanding how interconnected the brain is and how. So when we talk about manifesting, we're not just talking about um, my favorite thing, which is really my favorite thing, imagination and thought. We're also talking about your health. If you don't have a healthy brain, you don't have a healthy body or a system because the brain controls things. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to recap because I know Jackie's breaking up a little bit for me. So I'm just going to recap her story just to make sure, because she said some really important things that she was listening to a podcast one night. You might have heard, and the person said we got to turn down the volume of the pain in the brain, and that led her to on this path. And I'm listening to the synchronicity. So next day she's at her desk, finds a periodical, and it's about neurofeedback with someone that is an expert in that body of work, and really saved her life. She was, as she said, anxious, depressed. She didn't have chronic pain, but she had obviously had a lot of brain noise. It was different for her, and started doing neurofeedback and saved her life. Right? She was her depression was about to cause her to totally like exit her current life and go on a path. And thank God you didn't do that. Thank God for neurofeedback. And so, Jackie, I think you and I can understand, because we serve pretty much the same type of women, high achievers. We've had a lot of years in push, 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 very high demand in our careers and our desire to excel. And it's caused a lot of brain noise. It's actually, and now that we're in like this midlife season, I like to call it, what I find is a lot of high achievers are starting to get to that point where the pushing can't sustain us anymore. And so now we're feeling stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's causing us to see ourselves in patterns that we're like, who are you? I am not this chick. I don't get stuck. I don't overthink before I take action. I don't have self-doubt. I'm like the girl that just goes. Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? Who am I? When we find ourselves in those states, what would be your first recommendation to help us break free?
Well, everything begins with a thought, and it's just to and we study this all the time. We do this. You recommend it always too. It's to really imagine where you want to be and to feel it with every sense that you have. To see it, to smell it, to touch it, to taste it. That activates the brain pathways that help you get there, help you recognize it, help you see it, help you see it when it shows up, because it's going to show up, but you may be so busy that you don't even see it. You may need to do some other exercises just to start to return calm. Gratitude is a great practice. I do that every single day, every single morning. Gets you out of this right frontal overthinking pathway, gets you into the left side of your brain, which is calmer, which sees the good and the bad, which is just a lot less stressful. So it takes you out of that high beta overthinking anxious brain and puts you back into a more calm brain. So something as simple as gratitude, something as simple as some breath work, some box breathing. There's all sorts of things that you can do that kind of calm your senses down. But then before you go to bed at night, just imagine how you really want to feel, because your short-term memory gets converted to long-term memory while you sleep, and that just starts to change your perspective. Slowly starts to just change your perspective. So just those are just some simple non-tech things. Now, a fast way to do it, of course, is to do some neurofeedback, which clears out the dysregulated brainwave patterns that have just, when you go all the time, and every trauma, and the longer you live, you get exposed to more things that turn that volume dial up that we were talking about, that I heard in the very beginning, the volume of your pain, but it's really the volume of what's going on in your brain, because your brain's really just designed to keep you alive. And if it's running fast all the time, it burns out. That's that burnout. That's that wall you hit, and you're more likely to say, "I can't do this right now. I can't have a new job. I can't have a new relationship. I can't do a new venture." All of those things, because of the brain is just trying to keep you safe. It can't take more in. It can't receive more. And if the harder you work, the worse it's going to get. So we have to learn how to return to that state of calm.
Oh my gosh, you just said my thing. The harder you work, the worse it's going to get. I think for high achieving women, that is such a novel idea, because remember, our brain has a track record, a proven history of working hard worked. you know, it has years and years and years of overdoing, over pushing, over everything, you know, has gotten us to the point of what we once called success. And now, when it's like you said, it's burnt out and we can't move forward, we're seeing ourselves stuck and we can't like get to that next level of success and we don't know what to do. So now we go back logically to what we've done before, which is to try to overwork again. And the brain's like, I can't, like, no, burn out. So yeah. Um, I absolutely love, because I think once we start talking about neuroscience, and especially the work that you do, which is very science based, so neurofeedback. But before we even get to the super technical, this is what we're going to do, right? How we're going to, like you said, regulate your brain. I think that one of the things that is just the low hanging fruit that we can all start practicing is gratitude. Just waking up and having a powerful, like non-optional gratitude practice every morning. Like you said, getting out of the right side of the brain, which is super busy, to the left side, which will just give you an opportunity to have some quiet. So a gratitude practice. And then before you go to bed at night, imagining the life that you really want. Because what's happening, and Jackie, you can tell me if you agree, is that when we're overthinking, there's actually no space to be creative. There's no space to see the good that's actually present right now. Your brain is so loud, no one, like you said, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to move forward. You don't want to take the actions, and just finding a little tiny pathway to get you from this way of being to this way of being. And I love that those things are so simple. Every one of us can do that. A gratitude practice every morning and some imagination, like sign me up. Some imagination at night, right?
Love it.
So tell us a little bit about
You
neurofeedback.
broke up on me quite a bit, but okay. I'll tell you about neurofeedback, and really all of those things are feedback. So gratitude is definitely a type of neurofeedback almost, but and yes, that is definitely a low hanging fruit and something everyone should do. The neurofeedback is we do a brain map where we see what your brain is actually doing, and then you use a thing that's about the size of your phone that connects to your computer, and it retrains your brain by rewarding it for being in a really good pattern by you being able to watch and hear a show. And when you're in a dysregulated pattern, the screen gets dark and the sound goes down, so you can't you get rewarded for a more optimal brain functioning, and actually it's much easier for your brain. Your brain's going to use energy more efficiently, and it's going to calm that brain. So all of these things where your brain's always been ticked up, it's really not there for you to succeed. It's there for you to survive. That's all your brain's job really is. So that's why you keep repeating the same pattern, because you woke up the next day. And unless you do something to tell the brain, I don't need to run from the tiger anymore, it's going to keep doing that same thing. And you can work really, really hard, which is not what we want, and you can try to turn that down, or you can do something as simple and neurofeedback to me is easy and relaxed, because you just hook up and watch a show. That's it. There's nothing else you have to do. So it's an ideal, it fits in with our goddess lifestyle. But it really wasn't until I started really clearing up the brain, because I was journaling. After my husband died, a couple of years, I was cleaning out a closet, picked up a journal, and I could have wrote that entry yesterday. But I looked at the date, it was 10 years before. And I'm like, wow, I'm just spinning my wheels. What the heck? So I started really focusing on clearing out the dysregulated patterns, and things just open up. Things just open up when you get calm. And like when we had that discussion, our very first goddess call, and you told me just to listen to God, what God's message, what you told all of us to listen to what God's message was. I heard clear as day, you'll be taken care of. And the week before, a few days before, I had written everything that I thought a relationship should be. And it was just the opposite of what I was experiencing in my life. And then a few days later, Tim and I went on our first date, and he said those exact words that God had spoken to me on our first date. And I was like, okay. Because, when you talk about manifesting, it doesn't have to be a long process. When you're so clear and you're so calm and you hear the message and you're able to say yes because you're able to hear it, that's what changes your life. This, where I am on my boat, this was what we used to envision. I was living on my boat on the water with the man of my dreams, and I'm like, here I am. I'm always like, here I am, here I am. I just can't, shouldn't not believe that this is where you are, but that's what I do sometimes. I'm like, wow, this just really works. There's no coincidences in life or where we're supposed to be.
I love that.
And I just love experiencing it every day.
I think we've got a lot of your goddess sisters on
Hmm.
here.
Yeah,
We got
me
front
too.
row seats to the Tim and Jackie love story, right?
Oh,
I love that God gave you previews of a coming attraction. But the piece that you said, which I just want to make sure everyone heard, was that Jackie said my brain was in a calm state. I could receive that message. I could also receive that the man showed up a few days later and said exactly what I had just heard. And the difference was, when we talk about manifesting and why isn't it working, and the part, and it's so interesting, this could be a whole conversation. The part that I think we miss is that it's our brain that's processing these desires. Like, it's running through the filter of your brain. And if your brain puts up a protection wall because it's so loud and noisy and trying to keep you safe and the same, or what if you want to manifest something and the brain sees it as the tiger? Like, no, that's dangerous,
right,
right? Because
right,
it's just so loud in
right.
protection mode. And so I love that you shared, because I know many of us, wealth is a loving relationship. Wealth is living on a boat and living the life of your dreams. Wealth is ease and being just in that softer life. That's really what's wealthy. And
Hmm.
and I love that you're saying there is an easier way, right? Neurofeedback is the easy and relaxed way to get your brain to participate in creating your desires for you. That's the part that I always like to remind myself. This gets to happen for me, not by me, for me.
Right,
And how do I get it to happen for me? The easiest path is to have my brain do the work instead of fighting against the desire, to actually have the brain do the work for me. So yeah, I'm here for it. Jackie, you now have a process I love, because I've been watching your content and listening to you talk about this, like shifting into what you call calm genius. Can you tell us a little bit about the process you are guiding people through to get them into that calm genius state?
yes. Yes, because I know all of us have a special gift that we're here to give or to be, or, we all are unique. So the calm genius part is when you really get into that calm state, you're able to see and trust your intuition. You're more like in that childlike state where you just believed and knew, not just believed, but you knew you could do anything. And that's our most precious, unique state. And the process that I guide you through neuroscience wise is just to get you back into that calm genius where you know you can say yes, where opportunities show up, and it seems like it's out of the blue. It never is, but we've retrained our brain to recognize it. And the main part is to receive it. So when you get into that calm state, you can receive it. So we have a 12-week program. First of it starts off with neurofeedback, and it's to clear the dysregulated patterns. Then it's to lay in be able to the receiving part of it all. So it's a process that is simple, it's easy, and it goes so along with what we're trying to do. And we could do 6 weeks in neurofeedback is excellent too. You can go a little more and do some other brain entrainment, which just kind of keeps the flow going. And I understand what what we're trying to do. And I just like to support that by helping this get there so much faster and so much easier and so much less stressful. And it's not just about receiving what you're wanting to manifest. It's also being able to live your most healthy life, because a healthy brain is a healthy life too. So we don't want to be struggling in our later years because we're having some brain dysregulation problems. So it's all just helping to kind of restore that calm. That's what I call calm genius.
Ooh. When you said take me back to my childlike state, I was like, sign me up.
Yes.
That time, I remember being a little girl, and I tell the story all the time. I spent my days literally in the Jamaican version of the forest, right? And I spent my days just literally sitting by a stream, daydreaming all day. That was
Mm-hmm.
it. I
Hmm.
literally was just like,
Right.
what is my dream life? I don't know if that was a normal thing for little girls to do, but that was what I was doing. And you couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to live in the big, massive, beautiful house and I was going to have the love of my life. I mean, I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. What I was doing thinking about love, I have no idea. But it was part of my dream. And I just remember, even even in our early 20s when we now went out into the world, just I look back at that time in my life and I think about the way I was in approaching life and approaching work. And there was no doubting Tasha. It just was just like, it just wasn't there. It was like, oh, great idea. All right, I'm going to do that. Okay, that's the next thing to do. I'm just going to go do that. I look back and it's so amazing because I actually have more doubt in my 40s and 50s than I ever did in my teens and my 20s. And
Uh,
that's really
yeah.
interesting to me. And to your point, it's just how my brain has changed, right?
Right. Your brain never forgets. It doesn't forget. So we have to tell it we don't need that anymore. We don't need
Yeah.
to have that dysregulation in there anymore. We really are okay. And that just it's like resetting. It's like a resetting. You get to rewind the clock and go back to that calm, clear, excited, you can do anything state because you really can. And now we're much smarter. We've got the life experience now that we can say, oh, okay, we got this. So it doesn't have to be hard. It really doesn't. I know we're so used to, you know, striving and reaching all these things. It just doesn't have to be like that. It really doesn't. I would not be sitting on a boat with the man of my dreams if I was still living that life.
I love it. All right, everyone. So if you are ready for resetting the brain back to calm, excited, adventurous, like getting back to that genius state, just feeling calm in your genius, then I think Jackie has a workshop. Is it a workshop, Jackie, that you want to share with
It is a
everyone?
workshop. Yep, it's a
Yep.
workshop. Unlock your calm genius, imagination mastery workshop. I tried to think of another word than workshop, but anyway, I didn't.
You're going to get to spend some
Anyway,
time with Jackie.
yeah, and we're going to dive deep into how to do that and give you a real outline on how to do how to retrain your brain simply and understand it, or it makes sense in ease and confidence.
All right, ladies. So you'll see the website on there. You can remember it, mydivinelife.com, mydivinelife.com. And at the very top of the website, it says register for Unlock Calm Genius, an imagination mastery workshop for visionary women. Right at the very top of the website, it's like a blue, teal colored bar at the very top. You'll see that's where Jackie has the information for the workshop, Imagination Mastery Workshop for Visionary Women. Go get yourself registered. Spend some time with Dr. Jackie. She's amazing. She's worked with so many of our goddesses. I talk about wealthy me. And one of the things that I see happening with a lot of women is that they have the desire for that wealthy life, what Jackie's talking about. And there's something getting in the way. And we beat ourselves up a lot. What's wrong with me? Why can't I get there? Why can't I manifest? Why isn't it working for me? And it's not you, it's your brain, right? It's your brain. So go get this like fast, easy, quick, easy and relaxed way to just resolve that and spend this time with Dr. Jackie. All right, Jackie, any last thoughts you want to share?
No, I love you and thank you, and I'm grateful for our community and for meeting you. And this is just my people, our people. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Tasha.
You are so welcome. And just because I want to make sure this stays on my divine life, I want to make sure that this stays on um, with the video. I also typed the link in the chat, mydivinelife.com. All right, everyone. Thank you, Jackie. Thanks for being here. Go enjoy your amazing day. Go see the
I
dolphins.
will.
Do what you do. Go kayak. Mwah. Love to Tim. All right. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.